Okay, and heaven comes down. When heaven comes down, it's going to be biblical when it finally comes to this place. I remember when that last tornado a couple of weeks was coming through here, and was at the store, and one of the guys was saying, "Well, it's coming through. We got warnings and everything." I said, "Man, the Lord's not going to waste a tornado on here. He got something bigger planned for this area. I mean, it's going to be like Sodom and Gomorrah all over again." But enough of that. Here's his study, and this is, by the University of Hong Kong and Indiana researchers. And what they do is they studied like 25,000 convictions in public officials nationwide. And, they're stating here that between these two dates, that Mississippi topped the list, followed by Louisiana, Tennessee, Oregon, and then Washington and Minnesota second, respectively. Anybody who studied Oklahoma's political, were saying, states that, Oklahoma struggles a lot, and that's what we'll find out about the next thing. Now, the thing is, though, when Oklahoma does have scandals and stuff, you guys, your politicians and your judicial members and governors just go crazy. I mean, but one thing that the thing did, and here's how you stop corruption, and expect the aristocrats, which Durant doesn't really have any, but we're talking about the high society social people here that are, families of the judges and the senators and stuff like that, should keep an eye on that stuff. You guys are responsible because usually it happens on your level anyway. Boom, when heaven comes down. This is past and present. This goes back to when Oklahoma was a territory, and it talks about some of the problems that, and it gives a few reasons why, but there's really no excuse for it in today's date. And, education and technology and everything like that, that this scandal is still going on. So what happened back then is no excuse for what's been happening past that time. It's just that it's, from what I've read here, it's just easier for Oklahoma to, because when people here start doing something, they stop doing the right thing and they start doing what everybody else is doing. And that's the known thing that I found out since I've lived in this area. See, however unpopular it is, I always try to do the right thing, regardless. Even if it hurts me, I mean, because I was brought up that way. And I have my reputation, my integrity, my honor, and everything like that, and my faith that I live by. So it's definitely not popular doing the right thing in this area at the moment. Here it goes back to where, by a fluke of history at Oklahoma, with the territory, there were tribes and stuff had their laws and all this, so it was basically lawless. But see, that's back in the past. That has nothing to do with 1976, 1962, so I don't understand why it's making that kind of excuse, because that's like done, and it should have been over with by then. Especially this, like in the 1800s, this stuff we're talking about now that's happening around here, and what happened to me shouldn't have ever happened in the year 2000. These both studies, if you'll notice, were written in 2014 when this all happened to me. Were a business owner or executive bribed a judicial member or two and a person of the DA and probably a drug testing independent, self-owned, independent, privately owned. And those are the most acceptable to bribes, the privately owned ones, because they have to do with their clients. Pretty much tell them or they'll lose their bread and butter. That's why I don't trust them. So here it goes to where early statehood. There was one point, though, to where the legislation actually did kick out a couple of governors. But that was about the only time they had the guts or the gumption to do it. and then it was playing like political hardball or something there for a while. Most of the other time, other than that, the federal government's had to step in and take care of it in the past. And I'm hoping they'll step in and take care of this. Well, I'll keep knocking on their door. Well, I'll start knocking a little harder, get their attention to it. That's why I'm making sure all the guilty people are not being forgotten. Credit is going to be given where credit is due, whether it's good credit or bad credit. Karma comes full circle. Here's a guy fought the Klan, but secretly he was part of it. He was making sure he was appointing these people, his patronage appointments to certain key positions, and that goes on. And these people aren't even qualified to run this stuff. It's like you're putting somebody in a key area to where they can help you steal from that area. And this is what gets me for the people of residents of Oklahoma and who were born here. Why you people don't get up and watch these guys more often? Because they are actually stealing from you. They're taking away, basically your future and your children's future and your grandchildren's future by skimming off the top of what's supposed to be going to the educational program here, what's supposed to be going for development, infrastructure, and these people are robbing you blind. And plus, subjecting you to being falsely accused, wrongfully charged, paying fines, which is basically, it's a government extortion on a state level. It's basically what it is. Now, it says here for a while, come to a point where it says there was decades that Oklahoma experienced peace without, obvious corruption. Now, here's the one I'm talking about. In 1965, in the Oklahoma Supreme Court, 3 judges were implicated for taking payoffs to decide the cases before the court. That happened to me. Because with all the evidence I presented on my YouTube account, there's no way these people, if they had any intelligence or any education other than money, to sell their soul to the devil, basically, to go to hell for money. Because I know they're not going to come try to get forgiveness from me, and so if they're not going to get forgiveness from me, then they can't be forgiven. So, and they've probably done it to so many people, they done given up on their afterlife anyway. But if that's what you're looking for in your life, in your trials and tribulations, which what we're going through now, anybody who has a temple and a spirit, trials and tribulations, so they sold theirs for money. Here it goes through the Speaker of the House, and it goes up. If you want to reread that judicial scandal, there's one guy over a period of 20 years didn't not remember not ever receiving a payoff every year for over 20 years. And I got one guy, he didn't commit any criminal acts, he just political. Seeing here's what we got here, favored suppliers, and stuff like that, and these people don't do a good job, and they overcharge for their things, it's lining pockets and stuff like this. They're not doing it to the best people. Here's where, there's one case in here where stop for bonds to where undermine the education, actually these politicians and stuff like that, and there were a lot of them. There were probably judicial members, because like I said, it may not be the whole Senate, it may not be everybody, but there's enough everywhere else inside your state government that is making this happen. And like I said, they're stealing from you, and they're stealing the future of your children also, and their grandchildren, and your better way of life for yourself. Here it goes. Their contributors went to a large number of legislators, executive branch officials, and others in public life. And it was said here that it would add up to the who's who of the people and organizations in public life, which means your aristocrats were in on it too, on some of this, the who's who. And it even implicated key people that you would, and otherwise you wouldn't suspect in this bond thing. I mean, it like was out of control. and it should have been stopped. But they were buttering too many palms, and your so-called elected officials who were supposed to be watching out for you were just making their houses better while yours got more holes in the roof, and they were living, we'll say, high off the hog, while you guys could barely afford to feed yours, to butcher it, so you feed your family. Yeah, it goes through the whole thing here. It's interesting reading. Now they make one statement towards the end of this, and I believe it because I run into it in this area. You know, that one of the reasons why is Oklahoma, and we'll get to it here soon. I don't remember it word for word. I think it's just a cop-out because in the year 2000, come on, especially when these were written in 2014, people are supposed to adapt, educate, and be able to adjust to where they can keep up with society. You can't have a whole state that just falls behind because, of what this reason they're going to give is. It says something like, you guys are slow, Oklahoma is slow to modernize. Get with the times is basically what it's saying. And here it's saying that, that you guys aren't always, the corrupt ones, but you guys your politicians aren't always getting caught is basically it. I mean, I got wrongly prosecuting all this, and they haven't been caught for it yet. But I'm going to make sure it stays public so that it can get caught for it when it does come around. And I don't care. Should have never done it. I've got 2 wrongful felonies on my record that I don't deserve. And all this other stuff. So until it's made right, I'm going to make sure that it stays in the public eye. Because I've already been a better person once or twice earlier in my life. And I already know I'm a better person here. And I don't figure I'm going to step aside and let it go to be the better person for criminals. So here's where they're saying that your unwillingness to tackle the corruption from within, and that you're waiting on federal officials to do the job. Because nobody wants to turn in their buddy, I guess, But here where it says that modernize, strengthen resistance to modernize, well, that's apparent in these companies around here in this area that they're like 15 to 20 years behind every other state on how to better take care of your workforce, the training of their supervisors. They still think they can talk to you like children, threaten your job instead of showing you professionally where did you mess up in your duties and responsibilities. See, I can take care of all that. I can train these people. I can write the training programs. I can help them with their SOPs. But you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink it. And the offer still stands. I'm a professional. I still need a job to move out of this state. So blacklisting me ain't going to get it done. If you guys think you're going to turn off all the opportunities so that I'll move, I'm not burning my family to give me money to move out of here. They're not cause of it. I'm not the cause of it. The people in Oklahoma were the cause of it. Not all the people, but a few key people. So lesson 2 it is, residents of Oklahoma, those of you that are American citizens that were born here, watch these people, because they are stealing from you severely. And they are making things very hard for you to make a living when they chase all the lucrative businesses and skilled people out of this state and area. That eliminates your revenue right there, because they're just skimming off the top. So I hope this is helpful. View this video again, slow it down, read it. You can also Google these things and get your own copies. My name is Jeff Hayes, and you guys have a nice day, and I hope this was helpful.